Everything begins in the garden. It is a root. We have to understand the root to get to the root cause if we're going to cure the sickness that each one of us still struggles with and is infected with today. But let's discuss now the curse more in depth and its continued effects for us today. Friends, listen, I really want you to open your hearts and hear what I'm about to say, because I believe this has profound spiritual and practical ramifications for our lives. Everything begins in the garden. It is a root. We have to understand the root to get to the root cause if we're going to cure the sickness that each one of us still struggles with and is infected with today as a result of the sin of the first man and woman. When man and woman sinned, they brought a curse. The curse can be summarized by one word: exile. And exile can be summarized by two words: disconnection and distance. To be exiled means to be no longer in relationship with in the same way and physically removed from that person or thing, right? So let's look at the four aspects of exile. The first is spiritual exile. We became disconnected and distant from God. There was a sickness of the soul that occurred. We see this. Adam and Eve hid from God. Then they were kicked out of the presence, exiled from Eden. They lost their spiritual life in a sense. So spiritual exile began in the fall, but it's rooted in false views of God and His Word. All of us have false views about God. All of us have false views spiritually. If you are what you eat on a physical level, you are what you believe and think. And so we need to make sure that we don't have wrong views of God or figure out what those views are that are deficient. Next, there are psychological or emotional exile. We become distant and disconnected from our true selves. The first man and woman realize they are naked and they feel shame. As a result of the fall, there is emotional fragmentation. We become shattered. We have these false views of ourselves, false beliefs about ourselves. This exile on an emotional level messed up our emotions: fear, anxiety, rejection, anger, bitterness. You know, it's kind of like when I was young, I used to love to take a beach ball in the pool and see how long I could hold it underwater. But eventually the beach ball came popping up and a big splash was made. Listen, so many times we're trying to press things, press our emotion, press our hurts and fears and anxieties down, and it always comes exploding out. Listen, we have to deal with them. We have to deal with those emotional aspects of exile. We can't be ruled by our emotions. Our emotions need to be ruled by our will and come into alignment with God's will. There's a loss of identity. And as we said, identity is destiny. And we need to realize who we are in the Messiah instead of believing all of these lies about ourselves that we're not good enough, or we're not attractive enough, or who could really love us. If people really knew what I was like, who would want to be around me? And so we live in this shame. And not only is there shame, but there's blame. And this gets into the relational aspect of exile. We become disconnected and distant from others. Think about it. Adam blames Eve. Cain rises up and kills Abel, and families and relationships have been dysfunctional ever since. The fall brings unhealthy and it brings broken relationships. On an emotional level, there's false views of ourselves, but there's also false views of others. We get easily offended and take offense, and offenses create fences. Then there is the physical and material aspect of exile. Man and woman are physically exiled from the garden. There is physical sickness that culminates in death. We are exiled from creation, the natural physical world. There is disharmony. There are natural disasters. Our sin not only caused us to come into misalignment, but it caused creation to come out of alignment with us. When we fell, all of creation falls with us. The body goes the way of the head, as the old expression says. And creation does not work for us, but creation now works against us. Creation is cursed. It is not blessed. And we have to toil to earn our bread. And we have the stress of trying to make a parnasa, of trying to make a living. And so we experience physical pain and sickness in this world, backbreaking work, and ultimately there is sickness and death that we experience, natural disasters. But the good news is Messiah came to right the wrongs. He came to fix what we broke, and he came to bring shalom, peace, and wholeness. He came to reverse the fourfold curse and restore God's blessing and begin to allow us to see his original intention for creation. This is why Messiah had to die on the cross, as we've said before. The first man and woman took from the tree. Messiah dies on the cross for you and me. God puts back on the tree what we could not replace or make restitution for. That's how sin entered the world. But he came to redeem us from the curse of sin, death, and the devil. And when he dies on the cross, he actually, and this is such good news, again, came to reverse those four aspects of exile. He dealt with our spiritual exile from God. Think about it for a moment. It's the reason why he died on the cross on that Friday, to restore the connection between heaven and earth. He came to deal with the emotional and relational aspects of exile. Think about it. He was rejected by people. He was mocked. He was falsely accused. He was lied about. You know, when he came into Jerusalem on that Palm Sunday, he had a lot of fans, but they all left him. But yet he said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." After all that he went through, all the pain emotionally that he experienced, he still found in his heart the place and the desire to forgive. And what he did on that cross means that we can find God in new ways in our relationship. He dealt with the emotional and psychological aspects of God. Yeshua emotionally and psychologically suffered on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? He knows what it likes to feel alone and isolated and abandoned psychologically and emotionally and even spiritually. But the good news is, to as many as believe in him, to them he gave the right to become the children of God. You're no longer slaves, but you've now become sons and daughters. You have a new identity in him. And he dealt with the physical, material exile of creation. It's why he had the crown of thorns on his head, which was a sign of the curse, to break the curse and to restore the blessing. This is what he's done for us. And so what this means is, as a result of the cross and his resurrection, Messiah Yeshua has made possible for us healing and wholeness in these four areas, okay? They are spiritual healing and wholeness. That's our relationship to God, wholeness of spirit. We're now close to God. We don't have to be distant. You who were once far off have been brought near. Inner personal healing and wholeness, okay? On an emotional and psychological level, God can mentally and emotionally make you whole. As we see with the demoniac, the man who was demon possessed, who was out of his mind, and then they see him clothed and in his right mind. But he also brings relational and interpersonal healing and wholeness. He brings reconciliation. He can restore relationships between you and family members, you and friends. There's no relationship that is impossible to be fixed or restored in Messiah. And he brings physical healing and wholeness, healing of the body and wholeness in the body. And that is such good news for you and me.